We are recording. Today is Friday, February 8th, and 2019. We are at the Chennai Storytelling Festival at Loyola College in LS Hall. And today's, this session is a sort of introduction to storytelling, even though nobody needs an introduction to storytelling, because we've been doing it our entire lives. But this is an introduction to a sort of analytic approach, or professional approach, or at times academic approach. So it is the boiling down of a lot of ideas that we've been having, because we in Chennai, we are really a community of trainers. There are 42 professional storytellers who identify that way and list themselves as professional storytellers on the Indian Storytelling Network. And yeah, a little bit of echo. The ideas that will come through in this workshop and in the 3 workshops to come. This afternoon, it's storytelling for teaching English language, and then tomorrow for teaching any subject, and then tomorrow afternoon for coaching and counseling. This represents a community effort because these workshops have been planned and are being conducted by teams. I'm just going to introduce Ms. Banu, and she's going to facilitate this session. So a couple words about storytelling. Where do we begin? A story is a series of events, and storytelling is relating these events to another person. And the key word is relate, because it's in the context of a relationship. So many people use the term storytelling to refer to any sharing of story, whether it's through the printed word or cinema. But those of us in a sense, we're involved with, what do we call it? Live storytelling, storytelling in social gatherings, using the voice and the body. A lot of us feel the term storytelling should be reserved for using the voice and the body in a social gathering. I personally, I don't care for the term oral storytelling, because I feel it's repetitive. Just like I don't care for the term oral literature, because literature really is the written material. Okay, so we're in a social gathering, and it's a big matter of debate when we talk on the telephone or we do a video conference. Can we call that storytelling? It's a sort of mediated, one step removed from storytelling, because storytelling in its original form is we're physically present to each other. All right, with that, oh, and I want to say stories make the world go round, because it's not just Pancha stories for children. It's movies, TV shows, advertising campaigns, political campaigns. When you put all that together, it's a large part of the human economy, and a large part of the human process, a large part of human civilization, to situate ourselves with story. Stories tell us, you know, who we are, what we're doing, what we want, where we're going. It's serious business, but at the same time, it's play. Now I will hand the microphone to Ms. Bhanumati, who is going to facilitate this session.
Thank you, Eric. Hello, everybody. A very good morning and hearty welcome to the workshop. Now, yes. So you all have been coming from faraway places. I just want you to look at your watch, the time now. It's 11:02. It's today, Friday. Just think about yesterday, 24 hours back. Right from yesterday till now, today, Friday. Just think of one incident, a short incident which you remember and which you cherish, something about it, and I want you to share it with your partner sitting next to you. Would you try that? And the participants in the Zoom, just think about something, the same activity. You could just think and
I'll talk to the Zoom people.
yes, Eric is going to come on to listen to you.
Here, you can make this. Here, fun.
Yes.
Hello, Sharmali, can you hear me? Okay. Let me hear your voice, Sharmali, just so I can hear you.
Hi,
Good.
good morning. Hi.
And Dr. Vijay, can you hear me?
Hi, Eric.
Yes. And Sudarshana, can you hear me? Sudarshana, is your mic on mute? Sudarshana, can you hear me? Well, Sudarshana, I'm not sure if you're hearing me, but Sharmali and Dr. Vijay, you are, right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so this first activity is just to scan your memory and consider if there's some incident that comes to your mind that is especially interesting, or it made an emotional impact on you, say in the last 24 hours or even further back. And you know, some people will say, well, this is not storytelling, this is just talking about what happened. But in fact, that is also storytelling, because by the time we scan the memory, select something, and frame it, we end up turning it into a story. So, Sharmali or Vijay, does any incident come to mind?
Yes. Yes.
Tell
I
us.
do. Can I talk?
Please, go ahead.
Okay. So yesterday I went to meet my friend, and she has cats as pets. She has 4 cats, and one of them was sick. Some chair fell on his feet, so he was limping. She was limping. Her name is Bagheera. And there's one more cat called Mio, and she was taking him to a cat clinic because she's leaving the town for 3 days, so she wanted to put her there for 3 days. So I was helping her, and I went along with her in a car. So one cat was two of them were put in 2 different baskets, and one was in the front seat, and Bagheera was with me. Actually, Bagheera the cat has never seen the world outside. She grew up in that house. She never went outside. So she has a brother Simba and mother Kitty. So all the 3 cats were always inside. So the moment he was brought outside, he was like really afraid to see the world. It was too bright. It was sunny yesterday, and he was like meow meow. It's always, he was making a lot of sounds, and we were trying to calm her down, but she was not. So I just kept the basket close to me, and we went to the clinic. So the first cat, the meow, was taken inside, to put her there. Then I was alone with the Bagheera. So she never makes eye contact. She's a cat who's very different. She wants to be alone. She doesn't like humans, or she doesn't like other cats also. She always tries to be on her own. So I tried. She was like very afraid. I was telling her a story. I told her, don't worry, we are taking you to a cat lover, an uncle. I mean the doctor. I was trying to tell her a story. Don't worry, we are here and all that. I even asked her, do you like stories? She never no makes eye contact. Then I started singing some song, like a Tibetan song. It didn't have any words. It just had no some tune. So the first time she made eye contact, it was like a very emotional moment for me. There was some love. I felt that she first time trusted somebody. So I also understood that she's relating to the song too, and also to the story I was telling her. So I felt very connected to the cat. So I was singing. I'm not a singer, but I was still singing a song to her. And then my friend came and took her into the clinic, and
Okay.
she's well. Her limping is not a problem. She will heal soon. That's what the doctor said. So I thought that's a moment of
Wonderful.
I could connect myself. Yeah, thank
Wonderful.
you.
And, most stories, or maybe it's built into the concept of story that a story will have a takeaway. A story will have a point. It will have a
Okay.
lesson. And each
Okay.
person will see it differently. Can you
Mhm.
just tell us for a second what your takeaway from this story was, Sharmali?
Yeah. So when Bagheera the cat has never stepped out of the world, so she didn't. I felt she is not able to trust, people or even other cats. But yesterday, at some point, when I was able to connect with myself,
Hmm.
not thinking that she's a cat or I am a human being, there was some connect with both of us. So then I felt that she could trust. So when we connect or relate, as you started telling, when you tell a story, you relate. So I felt first time I related to her, and she also started, reciprocating it. So
Wonderful.
the true connection is what I felt yesterday.
Great.
It creates trust.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay, if we had time, we would want to hear a story from each of us, and we'd want to hear how each of us, the takeaway each one of us gets from each story.
Okay.
But we don't really have time for that now, so I'm going to hand the mic over again to Banu. Okay, Banu, go ahead.
Okay. So are we all done? So how do you feel now?
You need a mic? Oh, you have it. Oh, wonderful.
So how is it for you to share something happened? I mean, you have to recollect something. Okay. And do you feel it raised your awareness? Yes? You felt that? Awareness that what has happened.
I felt the need to give an introduction.
For that. So, yeah. Yes.
I felt the need to give an introduction first so that I can bring a listener into the story.
Mm-hmm. So you had that. Okay, so this activity was basically done to raise your awareness and organize our thoughts. We just have to think about it and go scene by scene that what has happened, and then to tell it to your partner so that they too traveled in the same page where you were. They underwent the emotion the same which you had. Did any of you felt that? Yes? Yes? Great. Once upon a time, there was a beautiful village where there was a small hut where a holy man lived. Every day, the holy man would come out of his house, sit under a big tree, and wait for people. All the villagers in that village used to come together to see that holy man, and they would sit around him when he starts to talk. He speaks nothing other than stories. He told stories to the people who came to listen to him. And they all listened so much and they liked him. But in this village, there lived a young guy who has this attitude. Where are you going? Every day, where are you going? He would ask the villagers. One of the villagers who regularly visits the holy man said, well, son, you know something? This holy man who sits under a tree and he speaks very nicely. You know, he gives us wisdom. Come now, you too, come. Come one day and listen to him. You will get wisdom. What wisdom? Okay. So by getting his thought going around, he decided to attend the speech one day. So he went and visited the holy man. And he sat right in the corner of that place. And with his doubtful attitude, he just sat and listened. The holy man started his speech. In a little while, the young man stood up and said, Swamiji, stop for a minute. Excuse me. I heard that you were telling some wisdom, how to lead life. But now you're telling only stories. Stories are for children. Why to us? But the holy man said, okay, yes, you're right. I'll give you the answer in a while. Could you please get me some water? The young man said, okay. And he went right into the house of the holy man and took a glass, filled it with water, and brought back and offered it to the holy man. The holy man, with a smile on his face, said, son, I asked you for water. Yeah, water only. Here. Son, I asked you only for water. Yeah, water only. Have. No. What is this? That's a glass. That's a container. That's a vessel. Without that, how will I give you water? Yes. In the same way, truth can be told with a story. Without a story, how will I give you the truth? And so, the story contains the message. Story is the vessel which carries the message, the truth to be shared. Also, it has some emotion. Adding some emotion to it, we get more connected, more bonded. When you share the 24-hour story between each other, the message was conveyed from eye to eye, heart to heart, soul to soul. We traveled along with the listener. We traveled along with the teller and the listener, each other, vice versa. So story is a lesson. Okay. Now that we all told and exchanged stories, the story should have some structure. So what is a structure of a story? A well-told story should have a proper beginning. Do you all agree with me? How normally a story would start? Once upon a time, long, long ago, there lived ஒரு ஊருல அந்த காலத்துல அந்த காட்டுக்குள்ள, yeah? So every time it starts with a proper beginning. The beginning has the setting, where it happened. When you all also told the story, how you would have told. I was in my house, in my office, on the road, in a bus, in a cab. Yes? So where that story took place, the setting of the place, and next comes the characters. Kadapatrangal illama kada illa. So we have characters in the story. The character's character, how you felt, how the particular character felt in that particular situation, that particular moment. And then comes slowly the building up of the conflict or the problem or the middle of a story. Not every story will have a conflict, but a couple of stories comes with a conflict. So there the graph rises up and slowly it comes down. That is the solution or the resolution or the end of a story. So a proper beginning, a proper middle, and a proper end. Either mudinjiduchu, this is how it happened, this is what happened, and this is how it took place and went on well or went on the other way. It's up to us. It's up to the story. And when we tell, there should be a sequence in telling a story. When you tell a story, as I told you, it will start and it cannot go to the end. Then it will not be interesting for us to listen. When you build a house, for instance, we build the ground floor, then the first floor, then the second floor. We can't build the ground floor and then go on to the second floor and then come. It's not possible, is it? So in the same way, when we tell a story, it has to go in a sequence. The first scene, I started here, then this happened to me, and then it goes on to the end. Otherwise, the connection, the bonding, or the understanding will be missing. So with that, the story structure and the story sequence comes to an end, and we now are going to discuss and learn about the elements of the story. There are a couple of elements that brings up the story into life, interesting. For that, I request Ms. Meera from Bangalore to take up the session. Thank you. I'll see you soon back.
Thank you.
You may not even need a microphone.
Yes. Yeah.
You start with your microphone. Speak loud and clear so people hear. No, you need to be here for the video conference. Please thank you.
Okay. Is there no way that I can use the stage?
No, sorry.
Okay. Because I'm a little short.
No, it's fine.
So,
It's fine. Please go ahead, just like this. Thank you.
You can't.
Nothing.
Okay. So I guess you'll have to make do with this. Good morning, all of you. And it's a great pleasure to be here in Chennai with such a nice weather. I know. As a Bangalorean, I think I do have a little bit of a privilege to take pot shots at weather. Most of the time, at least. So, good morning again. So, I'm going to do a short session on the tips or techniques in storytelling, especially related to voice and body language. Now, that's actually a tough call because it's such a vast area. I mean, if you look at it, it is pretty much the crux of storytelling, isn't it? How you convey a story. And I was really wondering, how am I going to do it in a capsule? But then again, being from India, we do have some tools, which we call mantras, right? Right? So mantras are shortcuts. So you just tell it 10 times and I'm not going to ask you to tell anything 10 times. Be assured of that. But yeah, so I thought I can share with you few sort of a toolkit, which is, you can say, is the beginning step, or rather the path for improving or sort of reaching the point where you want to be with your storytelling. Now, firstly, I want to ask you a question. I'm sure all of you have interest in music in one form or another. Most of you, yeah. So you will have a favorite singer, yeah. Just think about it. What do you really like about his or her voice? And a few of you can share. The tone pitch. So who is your favorite singer? Usha Uttar. Wow, great, yeah. Sid Sriram. Uh-huh. Right. Yes. Emotional connect. Yes, beautiful. Anyone else? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Yes. So yes. Thank you. Now, there's one other voice that I can pretty much guarantee that you've all heard as much as your favorite singer. Mother's voice.
Your own voice.
Yes, absolutely. Your own voice. So, what do you think about your own voice? If I ask you that question, have you ever analyzed your own voice?
It sounds
Yeah.
awful. You don't realize that's what it sounds.
Right, yeah. Yeah, that's,
Actually, listen back to your voice.
yes, that's actually a scientific reason, because what they say is when we hear our own voice, when we are speaking, there's an internal resonance. We hear it from inside as well as outside. But when you're hearing your own voice from elsewhere, you know, you don't get the internal help with all your voice cavity and, you know, doing all that gymnastics. Make it sound so good when you hear it. But yeah, other than that. Yeah, I would request you to do that today if you haven't done it already. So I would say the first step in our mantra toolkit is to be aware of your own voice. Because as a storyteller, even before you go to voice modulation, before you go to voice gymnastics, anything, most of the time you are narrating. You are not doing only a play act, and the narration is in your own voice. It should be in the voice which you are the most comfortable. Right? So the first thing I would say, be aware of your own voice. Understand what are the plus points, and realize your voice. Secondly, I'll give you a small exercise to do that. So all of you can just hum. Try to hum at a higher pitch. Lower pitch. Back to your normal. Normal. So did you feel a catch in your voice as you were humming at a higher pitch and a lower pitch? So the pitch at which you can hum is your natural pitch. Catch the pitch. That is the one which you can speak comfortably, naturally, without straining your voice. Second, with respect to yourself, you know, as a person, standing on stage, standing in front of an audience, telling a story. Same thing. That's easy. When you have one thing for all mantra, be aware of yourself. What kind of person do you project? For example, I know that I am shy. So there are some times where I feel, I need that height. But what do? I try to add my presence by my movements. But I know that I am here. This is my height. This is how I'm going to be. So identify how is your presence on stage. Be aware of yourself. Be confident in yourself. First step. Second step of this mantra is improve. Improve. First is be aware. Second is improve. When I say improve, one of the first things, it's not always the natural. There can be many reasons. Social reasons. Sometimes you may be in an environment where you're not allowed to talk loudly. Where talking loudly is considered to be wrong. And on the other hand, you grow up in an environment where soft talking is not there. Like I remember my grandparents, when they grew up in a village, they have such a naturally loud voice. She fills the space even if I'm standing right next to them. So it's just because, you know, for them they had that space. So they always felt like that. Secondly, health reasons. Third, habit. So sometimes there are a lot of overtones which come on to your voice. Add to your movements. Maybe sometimes something somebody has said. So you tend to shuffle. You may not be confident and you may not show it. So how do you improve it? With the voice, projection and pull. Projection, what is projection? Projection is, of course, as many of you may already know, not talking. It's not about talking loudly. It's about reaching the point you want to reach with your voice. So, the best way to improve your projection is by building up your vocal muscles. The vocal muscles is here, the back, your body, the macro, the micro. Both. Many times we tend to concentrate on this. I want to raise my voice here, but it won't work. Because the force, the push comes from here. So I request all of you to stand up for a minute and just follow along with me. This is a simple breathing technique. So put your hand on your stomach. Draw a deep breath so that your stomach comes out. Draw a deep breath so that your stomach comes out. Basically, diaphragmatic breathing, stomach breathing, yogic breathing, whatever you call it. Now, with this, make a sound ah as your breath comes out. Stop at the point where you feel the catch. Never extend beyond that, because your body, you have to listen to your body more than anything else. This helps to loosen up your voice apparatus, and it's exercise for the voice muscles. So even before you have a session, this really helps. And a few other stretch them. There's an apple high above. That's for you. Hold yourself here like this. Swing. Okay. So there are aesthetic, in fact, these are common exercises used in theatre, for voice projection and voice power. So you don't feel the strain at all when you talk for a very, very long time. Thank you. And the third step in this mantra, I'll move to it, is being aware, improve, innovate. Innovate. Innovation is the last step. This is where many of us storytellers try to jump to first. I want to be a lion. I want to be a fish. I want to be a frog. I want to be an old man. I want to be a young man. I want to be like this. I want to be like that. That comes after the first two steps to comfort. And innovation is about two things again. One is, of course, the technique, how you're able to modulate your voice. But I feel what I have seen more important, it's about your thought. It's about your analysis of the character. You give the character a personality with your body language and your voice. So who decides it? So the same character, when told by different storytellers, when portrayed, will be very different. Including the way they conduct themselves. So, the character's voice and body language starts from here. Not from here, not from here, definitely not here. I'll take a very short example. It's a very well-known story about the fisherman and his wife. The fisherman goes to the sea and he catches a fish. The fish requests him to let go of it. He does. But the fish says, you can come and ask me for anything you want. The fisherman is, a pretty much settled character. So he doesn't have much to ask for. So he goes home. His wife isn't. How can you be such a fool? Go back and ask. He goes back, asks for a house, gets a house. Why house? Palace. Palace? Palace. Why only palace? God. God. Okay. And he comes back to find that there is nothing because God doesn't require a palace. Right? So it's a very short story. Now, fisherman and his wife. I would like you all to think in your mind. I just narrated it without any masala. Right? I didn't put any spices. I didn't tell you anything about them. But just think about it. The fisherman and his wife. Two characters. How do they resonate with you in your own mind? When I said fisherman, what did you think? How did you think the fisherman would walk? How do you think he would talk? He's a contented person, I said. That's the only thing I said. And the wife is greedy. How do you think a greedy lady would look? Is there any particular characteristic? Will she be like chewing pan, stereotypical? Will she be quarrelsome? Fisherman will be meek? Or not? How do you think he will talk? How do you think the fish will talk? Will it be squeaky? Fisherman, please let me go. Or is it a strong fish? Fisherman, I'm a magic fish. Let me go. And how does it change over time? It's your call to make. So when you pick up a story, think of each character in the story. Build it. Build around it so that it gets a life. Once it gets a life, it is yours to make anything out of it. So that step is, in fact, by far, I would say, the easiest step. Because once you're already into the story, it is your baby. And we don't need any special lessons to take care of our baby, right? I mean, as a mother, that's how I approached it. A baby? Yeah, I take care of you, fine, good. I never went and asked somebody for lessons. Once the story becomes your baby, you're all set. So I'm going to end here. I know it's a short segment with a mantra. So please do think about it and see how it helps. Thank you so much.
I just want to thank the people who are joining us by conference, Sharmali and Sudarsana, and Barry was there for a moment. We're really taking baby steps with this process. See, we have a second, Danya, would you pick up that computer and maybe move it around a little bit? When people here on our side are going to speak, the participants, we're going to try to, you know, like usually people just take a microphone around, but we're going to try to take the camera and the microphone around, and so you distant people can hear people in the participant circle here. And likewise, Sharmali and Sudarsana, we want to hear your voices now and then. Okay. So we have to turn down one mic, turn down another mic, turn down one speaker, turn up one speaker. We're just getting the hang of it. So please bear with us, but we want this to be fully interactive, that you can hear everyone in the group and that everyone in the group can hear you. So we're working in that direction. Okay, Banu?
So yes, now that we are all set with the voice and body, now let us listen to a story. There was once a beautiful village where there was a small house in which lived a grandfather with his grandson. Well, one morning the grandfather, he was really, really old. So he just walked out of his house and began to dig and dig and dig a pit. The grandson, who just woke, couldn't find his grandfather around, ran out of his house and said, "Grandpa, Grandpa, what are you doing? At this old age, why are you digging this pit?" The grandfather said, "You know, I'm going to plant a plant." "Oh, really? Why do you want to plant this? By the time it grows up and by the time it bears the fruit, you won't even be alive. Why do you want to spend your energy in this, which you can't even enjoy the fruit?" Son, just look there at that big tree. Yeah, that tree was planted by my grandfather. I have eaten lots of fruits from there. I have enjoyed the tasty fruit. This small plant, I'm planting it for you. I'm planting it for the next generation. And the story ends there. So here in this story, I would like to emphasize on the eye contact. The participants over here, did you notice that when I told one dialogue of a particular character, I was looking at you? For the other, I was looking at you. For the other, I was looking at you. Here, I considered the participant, one of the participant, as the character. When I spoke the dialogue of the boy, the character I was holding was a boy, and I treated one of the participant as the old man. When I told the old man's dialogue, I treated the other participant as, yes. So when you tell the story, the bonding increases when you involve or include the participant as one of the characters in that story. So now we move on to the next part of the workshop, which is story creation. It has two parts. First, I would like to invite Mr. Pandya Rajan to take over the session. So please come over.
Please step up. Yes.
Vanakkam to everyone. Vanakkam. I am going to tell you about storyboard. Storyboard is nothing but visualization and sequencing a story content. So this will be a practical session and everyone can take a paper and pencil. Now the participants even are here distributed, paper and pencil here. Audience and the video comments, please take the paper and pencil. And you can, see we have some stories, simple stories we have selected, such as monkey and the capsula, and the blue jacket, lion and mouse, and monkey and crocodile, two friends and bear, like that. You can select any of the simple stories and you have to segregate the story into 5 or 6 segments and you have to draw pictures of those scenes that you have selected. After that, you will be selecting one scene at a time and number it. After numbering it, that is sequencing. You take the first scene slide and then choose your partner and describe that story by referring to that picture. And generally, these stories, lion and mouse, for example, or any other story, are told in third person. So here, we are going to tell in first person. For example, in the case of lion and mouse, you can take the role of the mouse and tell the story from its own point of view. I'm going to illustrate a story. I have taken a very, very simple story. There's a foolish horse. Horse. So H-O-R-S-E, horse. This, I'm going to give a brief introduction of the story, so for the sake of those who don't know the story. There was a donkey and a horse. The master of these two animals take them to a market. On the way back, he has purchased so many things from the market and he loaded all the things goods he has purchased on the back of the donkey, and he himself was riding on the horse. They were coming back from the market to their village. It's a long way. They're walking and walking and walking, and the donkey and the horse, they were tired, and the villager was also tired, so he wanted to take rest. So he, leaving these two animals, he takes rest. The donkey requests the horse, could you please help me? I'm tired. I'm carrying this. Could you please help me? No, it is not my job. But donkey, the horse says. Then the donkey, no, it has to carry it. The villager wakes up and he goes with the donkey and the horse. And on the way, the donkey breaks down. It was crying, oh. It was breaking down. Then the villager comes and pats it. Okay, I'll help you. Don't worry, you have been carrying all along. I'll load this everything on the horse back. And the donkey was freed, and the entire load has been now shifted on the back of the horse. Now the horse regrets. I should have shared when the donkey was requested. Now look, the entire load is on my back. Oh, it regrets. That's the story. Now I have already selected this story. I think most of us in our elementary school, we have seen this. Look at the picture and tell the story. It's Padam Bharti, Kadai Sol. The same thing. I'm going to show this story. This story I have segmented this story into 5 or 6 scenes. The villager is riding on the horse and the donkey is carrying the load of goods. That's one scene. And second scene is, I will show the scenes. I think. Can you see this?
Yeah.
This is. Yeah. So this is the first scene. Yeah. This is the first scene. So here, look. And the second scene is the donkey is requesting the horse. Right? And the third one, so I have numbered it. Can you see the numbering?
Yeah.
The third one is, again, they are carrying all the way. Look at the donkey. Donkey is having all the load on its back. And look at the horse. It's very happy. It's simply carrying the villager only. It's very lightweight compared to the weight the donkey is carrying. And the fourth one, the donkey is crying. So look, it's crying. Tears are running from its eyes. Look. So the fifth one is it falls down, and the villager comes. Come on, what's happening? He is inquiring. And the last one, now the entire load shifted to the horse back. Right? So similarly, you can, after selecting your story, please break them up into 5 or 6 segments and use your stick figures. Need not colorful as it has been shown. You can quickly draw the picture. And what I suggest that.
So we can choose any like Panchatantra story or any
simplest story.
Uh-huh.
So that
Good.
Any story. I have given the list in the beginning. You can choose your own story, and you can use stick figures, and you have to draw the scene with what is relevant to the story. Suppose you are saying they are walking through the forest, then you have to put some of the trees in the forest, and see, what is very important when you are describing that particular scene, you have to describe the place. Description is very important because your imagination versus the imagination of the listener. So you may imagine a forest in your own way. The listener will be, from his or her own perception, will have a different meaning of forest, though it is one and the same technically. Thank you. You please go ahead, and I will join you after 5 minutes.
Great. So Sharmali and Sudarshana, please also, if you have paper and pen, choose some simple story, maybe an animal story, and draw the episodes, and then we'll call on you to look at your drawing.
Yeah.
And then I think maybe in the next activity, we will call on you to hear your voice. But so we'll let that wait a little bit. For this one, we just want to see your drawing. So take a few minutes, just like we are doing in the room here, to draw the episodes of some simple story. Okay?
Okay.
And Sudarsana, wait, I'm going to unmute you. Yes, Sudarsana, did you want to say something? Go ahead. Somehow I'm not hearing you. Oh, just a second. Go ahead, Sudarsana. Your voice. Ah, there you go. Now the voice is coming. Go ahead.
Yeah, is it mandatory to do a drawing, or can I make use of any pictures to?
No, for this do a drawing, and you can just use stick figures. Just use stick figures. It's not about being a great artist. It's just about representing episodes.
Okay.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Hello? Have you drawn the pictures? You have selected the story in the first place and then group them into 5 or 6 segments. Have you, how many of you are ready now? Ready? See, I suggest that if you have already drawn a picture, please raise your hands and we will ask you to prescribe, tell one of the story. Yeah, that's them. Then can you please take the camera here, please? Yes. Sir, your good name, sir? What's your name? Shannon. Shannon has drawn the picture and he is going to describe.
So
Okay.
okay, so it's a very rudimentary drawing. All I did was I started with a girl who's walking in a forest, and then she's crying in the next frame, which is intended to represent that she's lost or uncomfortable. And then in the third frame, you can see that she's encountered a witch, and that's as far as I got.
What's the first frame?
She's walking in a forest.
Forest, good. Okay.
And then she's crying alone, and then she encounters a witch.
Okay. Yeah, cool. This first picture, is it clear? I think the first picture, first picture is somebody is walking into the forest. So a lot of trees, and then I think probably he finds himself alone and scared, right? Terrified, and therefore that character is crying. So, and then the third one, he encounters a witch. Yeah. The story goes on here. Would you want to continue that story? Okay. Anybody else? Shailaja, please come. Okay. Yeah, camera will come to you.
And just a second, Sharmali and Sudarsana, raise your hand if you are hearing the participant speak now. Okay, go ahead, Danya, let her speak. And make sure you're unmuted. You're not muted. Go ahead.
Shall I? Hi, I'm Shailaja, and this is the story of the fox and the grapes. And it was a hot, sunny afternoon, and there was a vineyard, and there was a fox which was feeling very, very thirsty. So he came to the vineyard, and he looked around, and he found that there was a bunch of grapes hanging from one of the plants. So he decided to go for it and try to jump at the grapes. He jumped many times. Of course, I put it up only in one picture. And after a while, after jumping many times, he couldn't reach the grapes. But then he thought to himself, he couldn't accept defeat. So he thought to himself, the grapes are sour. I better go away and find something else elsewhere. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me show the pictures again because it was not seen by many. So, Shailaja's picture, this is frame 1, and then this is frame 2. Right, now, this is frame 2, right? Yeah. Yeah. Then this is frame 3. Okay. Jumping to the grapes and goes away disappointed. Thank you.
Okay, now Sharmali or Sudarsana, would you show us your picture, or more importantly, would you speak to us? We're going to see if your voice is coming through in the room. Either one. Sharmali, would you?
Yeah. Shall I? I mean.
Yes, we can hear you. Wonderful. Go ahead. Talk to us, please.
Okay. I chose the story of the fox and the crow. Okay. Shall I show the picture? I mean, is it?
Yes. Yes.
So this is the first scene where in a forest there was a tree and a crow was sitting on it, eating a chunk of cheese in its mouth, and fox comes along and it looks at it and it says, looks at it. And the next scene is where I'm saying that the fox is thinking, okay, I'm very hungry. The crow has a cheese. So it looks very tasty. Okay, how do I get it? The next scene, the fox tells the crow, "Oh, beautiful crow! You know how beautiful you look." The other animals of the forest say that you look terrible, but no, you have such beautiful feathers, and even your voice is beautiful. Can you sing a song? So the next scene where the crow really gets flattered and it opens its mouth and starts singing, and the cheese, the chunk of cheese falls down, and the next scene next is when the fox is happy, it got the cheese, and it says, aha, okay, next time when somebody flatters you, think before you act upon it. Yeah, that's my. Thank you.
Fantastic. And I want to make a note that we heard you, and a few moments ago, you and Sudarsana, I think you heard us. So I think we have basically figured out how to do this here, which is wonderful. We're very grateful. Mr. Kannan is operating the sound system, and it's going on. Okay.
Anyone else want to describe? Yeah. Your good name, please. Devasi, okay. Yeah, you can come here also if you want.
In the first frame, the story about an ant who wanted to become a tiger. I don't mind.
Okay, that's right.
This is a story about an ant who wanted to become a tiger. So one day, a hermit was sitting in the forest and meditating when an ant came up to him and said he said to the hermit, "You have great powers. I want you to make me a cat." So the hermit says, "Yes, I can do that for you." So he shoots an arrow at the ant, and lo and behold, and the ant becomes a cat. Once he became a cat, because he was unsatisfied, he said, "No, I want to become a tiger. Can you do that for me? Can you make me a tiger?" And the hermit said, "Of course, I can do that." So he again shot an arrow at this cat, and then this cat became a tiger. When the ant became a tiger, he became too proud and started showing off and throwing his weight around. So the hermit heard that he has become a proud tiger and going about killing people. So he called the tiger to his place and said, "Hey, look at me." So the tiger came to him and said, "Yes, what is it?" So he says, "Can you do me a favor?" "Yeah, I can do that." So he says, Can you show me how was your life as an ant?" So he says, "Yeah, it is in your power to make me an ant back again, and I can show you." So the hermit shot an arrow again at the tiger, and he became an ant again. So there's my story.
Good. Yeah.
Pumadi.
Nobody is going to tell the story now.
Story of a lion and a mouse. The first picture, the king of the jungle. He's taking a nap after a very hearty lunch. And in the second scene, we can see a small squeaky mouse running all over him. He thought it to be a good playground. It was tickling all over the lion, and it woke up from its sleep. Got very angry with the mouse. He caught it by his hand in the third picture. Next picture. It's holding the mouse. How dare you did this to me? I was having a good sleep. You disturbed it. "Oh, sorry, sir. I'm so sorry, Your Majesty. Please forgive me this time. I will be helpful to you in some other way." The king laughed. "You tiny mouse, how can you be of help to me?" "Okay, anyway, I feel sorry for you. Please run away." And he forgave the little mouse. And in the next scene, that lion got caught in the trap and he didn't know what to do. He kept roaring all day, and finally the little mouse heard the voice and came, and with its sharp teeth, he freed the Majesty, the Lion King, and the lion was very happy that he should never underestimate anyone's strength. Everyone have their own capabilities.
You have one more picture, the fifth picture.
Okay, let's put it back. We'll get a little CC after that.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay.
Sudarshana.
Sudarshana. Okay, let me
Sudarshana.
let me do it. Okay, computer sound up. Go ahead, Sudarshana.
I have chosen the story of monkey and the crocodile.
Yeah, speak a little louder if you can.
Yeah, one moment. I have chosen the story of Monkey and the Crocodile. Here are my pictures.
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, the first picture is on the bank of the river. There was a tree.
You know, I think you have to hold your mic up to your mouth.
On the bank of the river, there was a tree where there lived a monkey, and he had a crocodile friend. He used to give the fruits from the tree to the crocodile daily. One day, the crocodile took the fruits to his friend, the girl crocodile, and he gave the fruits to her. She said, "The fruits are so yummy, and just think of the monkey's heart, how yummy it will be." So you go and ask the monkey to come along with you. Will he have the monkey's heart for today's lunch? So the crocodile, he's confused whether to ask his friend for the heart or no, but still he goes and asks for the heart to the monkey. The monkey says, "Yes, I'll come." But on his way, he says, wait for a minute. I've left my heart on the tree. Can you please take me back to the river bank?" The crocodile also believes the monkey and takes him to the river bank. And the monkey jumps back to the tree and says, "You cannot be like this." The monkey becomes wise and the crocodile is fooled. And here are my pictures.
Right.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. So we have done this visualization and sequencing technique, and we have drawn pictures. Thank you everybody who made that attempt. I think whatever, now when you are telling the story, whatever Shalini and Banu were telling, when you have to use those techniques. Now you know how to now sequencing it and visualizing it, then presenting it in the techniques, voice modulation, body language, and whatever other things they have been telling. Please use them and tell these stories. And when you are here, what I noticed that most of you were telling the story in third person. What I have requested you to, because you to tell in, assume as one of the characters and tell the story. Anyway, you please practice as one of the characters itself. No, what is the use? Either internalizing someone else's emotions yourself and get connected, and you will be able to feel it better. So you can, words will come on its own. Like Salini was saying, the words will come in your brain on its own. That is the idea of doing it. When personal experience story, Eric used to say several times, what is your personal experience story? Why he was insisting that whatever we have, Banu was narrating what has happened in last 24 hours. So when you are able to feel it, and definitely that helps. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pandeyarajan. Hope you had a good time creating a story, drawing it and telling it. I would like to add up a point. So most of us told stories which are very common. Few of you told with a dialogue. That is really very nice. But most of the time, if you think, we normally read from a book and tell it in the same way, which is in a written format. Yeah? So that has to be changed to a dialogue. Every character which tells something can be converted into a dialogue when you deliver it, when you tell the story. This character, the mouse said, "Please let me go, please let me go." The mouse asked him to let him go. So there is a difference in both these, right? So a story comes into interesting part when it becomes a dialogue than a written format of telling. So yeah, to take it to the next level, we have another story creation, which is very interesting. I would request Dr. Eric Miller to take over that session, a story creation. Thank you.
Okay, you know, I want to say about the crocodile and monkey story, I find it very upsetting that one friend, whoops, I almost dropped the mic. That one friend, let me keep it here, I might be, that one friend could trick another friend like that. But then my solution to that problem is that if the crocodile really wanted to eat him, he would have just grabbed him and taken him home. But in effect, he warned the monkey and gave the monkey a chance to escape by telling the monkey that we're going to eat you for dinner. So at least I feel a little bit better, but I find that story upsetting. To go back to a point that, before we do this story creation, to go back to a point that Banu made some time ago, yes, about making eye contact and putting our listeners in the position of other characters in the story. That happens even without eye contact. Because if I say the mouse said to the lion, please don't eat me, please don't eat me, you're all put in the position of the lion, even if I'm not looking at you. You see, I'm saying, please don't eat me, please don't eat me. You know, it's a mouse and a lion, but you're hearing, please don't eat me. And then if I reverse roles, mouse, you know, you're so small, even if I ate you, it wouldn't give me any nourishment, so I'll let you go. I'll let you go. You're such a little thing, I'll let you go. So now I'm putting you in the position of the mouse. You see? If I do happen to look at you and say, okay, mouse, I'll let you go, then especially I'm putting you in that position of the mouse. If the mouse says, oh, lion, I'll help you someday. I know I will. And the lion says, you'll never be able to help me. You're just a little mouse. Now I'm looking at the camera, so I'm looking at you, Sharmali and Sudarsana. So I'm making a simulation of eye contact with you, but everyone who's listening to the story is put in that position. And this is true not just with animal stories. I said to my daughter Kamala today, please go for singing class today, because this may be one of the last singing classes you have with this teacher, and I want you to get a sense of closure and, you know, say goodbye to your singing teacher. You're all in the position of Kamala. I'm saying, Kamala, please go to your singing class today and say goodbye to your singing teacher. So you're thinking, you're feeling, okay, if I was Kamala, I think I would say yes. But Kamala might say, but Appa, I have basketball practice until 5 o'clock. I'll be all tired, I'll be all sweaty, I can't go. And I said, that's okay, she won't mind. If you want to change out of your basketball uniform before class, you can change at school before you go. So please go, even if you have to go in your basketball uniform. She's studying at a college, a music college. If you go to a college wearing your basketball uniform, that'll be great. That's a good fashion statement. Everyone will appreciate. She's only 11 years old, but she likes going to that college. Okay, so anyway, you see how you get placed in the middle of things usually without the storyteller or the storyteller even realizing the psychological dynamic of being included in the story. So the whole thing becomes a role-playing event and a guided fantasy, a role-playing event. I want to mention one more thing before I begin this story creation process. These are some notes I made the other day at the Cafe Coffee Day. We have an open mic there, and we had a silly contest for a champion storyteller. But I was jotting down criteria for storytelling. which perhaps is a foolish thing because we all tell stories. We're experts, all of us are. But still, if we're going to teach it in schools and we're going to assess it, we have to have criteria. I think storytelling is strong when your listener will say, I felt like I was there. I was transported. And for a listener to feel that, you yourself as the teller have to feel it. You have to visualize it, see it, and act it, and bring it to life. I could see everything you described. You acted out the characters convincingly with special tones of voice and movement. And I think especially important, there were a variety of emotions. The mark of a beginning storyteller or someone who hasn't put a lot of thought into storytelling is that they will come up on stage and announce. This happened, that happened, this happened, that happened. Their tone of voice is, I know what happened. You don't know what happened. I'm telling you what happened. This happened, that happened, that happened, that happened. And that is a declamatory tone that sometimes we use when we're lecturing, like I'm doing now. I apologize. But it's boring. As my daughter would say, it's boring. As one of my students back in the USA once said to me, Professor Miller, you're a nice guy, but it was mad boring. So boring, it was driving me mad. So what you really want as a teller is a variety, not just fast and slow, not just loud and soft, but a variety of feelings. Not just, not just an angry feeling, not just a shy feeling, but all, as many feelings as possible to make it an interesting dish, to use a metaphor. I keep erasing this because I keep holding my phone and okay, that was the main point. Okay, now I'm going to lead you in a story creation process. How is my voice coming? Sharmali and Sudarsana, okay?
Yes.
And am I okay here in the room? Great. I was teasing Marion the other night because Marion is from Scotland. And in Scotland, the Storytelling Association really encourages and trains storytellers to function without a mic, if possible. They really believe in developing, as Mira was helping us do, developing the WIN system. So I'm glad that I don't need a mic. Okay, so please turn to an empty page. I'm going to ask you to draw as you imagine. You could also write if you want. You can write words, but sometimes material comes up from the unconscious in a special way if we draw pictures. If you like, just imagine. Close your eyes and imagine. So just as with this last activity, we'll start with a character. This character could be yourself. It could be yourself as a child. It could be yourself as an old person. Or it could be a different version of yourself. It could be an alter ego of some sort. It could be an animal. It could be a being from outer space. And don't write until the mood strikes. Don't draw until the mood strikes. Just listen and see what comes up. It could be an emotion from inside you. In story work, sometimes we personify emotions or personality traits and pretend it's a human character with human consciousness. My angry side and my silly side were talking to each other one day. My angry side said, "You're just silly." And the silly side said, "Of course I'm silly. I'm the silly side. Stop being so angry." So you can have the characters talk to each other. Did anyone see that movie Inside Out? That whole movie was about personality traits of a character interacting with each other. So if you like, the character can be an aspect of yourself. It can be a memory within yourself. You know, when we remember characters, people in our lives, especially if we haven't seen them for a long time, especially if they passed away, they exist to us primarily as, you know, elements in our imagination. They also had their own existence, may have their own existence, but on one level, they are figures in our memory and imagination. So is there a character in your memory or imagination who would like to see the light of day? Who would like to visit us? Who would like to visit you? You can just call out. Unconscious, is anyone there? Would anyone like to come up and have a cup of coffee with me and talk? Is anyone upset? Does anyone want to tell me anything? Actually, if you've had a good dream recently, you might use that dream. A dream is a story that the unconscious tells to the consciousness. For some reason, the unconscious wants to tell a story and maybe give a takeaway to the consciousness. So, so this is a summoning process. If you're doing Sami, you're summoning a divine figure from some place to come. But in this process, you're summoning an element from your unconscious to come. In religion, it's a divine figure, maybe from the sky or from below. But in psychology, creativity, it's more we think about the individual and collective unconscious. So, what might want to be storified by you today? And if some character comes to mind who wants to talk, who wants to be heard, wants to be seen, wants to do something, represent her or him with stick figures. And as she comes, let us know generally what is she wearing. I could say he or she, doesn't matter. What is she wearing? What is her hair like? Where is she? Is she in a classroom? Is she on a city street? Is she sitting down? Is she on the beach? Is she in a forest area? And most importantly, as Banu said, how does she seem to feel? Is she happy? Is she unsatisfied in some way? Is she in a rush? Does she want anything? Is she holding anything? I mentioned, is she wearing anything? What is her environment? Are there clouds? Are there birds? Is there a classroom? How is it going? Is Sharmali, is a character coming a little bit? Okay, yes. Sudarsana, something coming?
Yes.
Okay, keep trying. So now if you have a character, you might think, has she come from someplace recently? Or does she want to go someplace recently? Does she seem to want to meet anybody or do something or go somewhere? And really what this is leading to is, does she want anything? Is she motivated to do or go to do something? She doesn't have to. As Banu said, sometimes there are stories with a character who is just happy and at peace where she is. And that's where the story begins, that's where the story ends. But also many times a character does want something. So if she wants something, what does she want? Does she want a cup of coffee? Does she want to be prime minister? Does she want to change a law? Does she want to, it can be big or small. Does she want to change the way the corporation is managed so that garbage is picked up in a better way? Well, does she have a mission? Her mission might just be she has to go outside to pump water because she doesn't have running water in her flat. So big or small, what's on her mind, and what does she want? Now, if she does want something, try to represent that visually on the far side of the piece of paper. So say she's in the middle someplace, or she's on the left, or wherever she is, try to represent what she wants on the far edge. And if you can do that, your story is made, because the rest of the process will simply be what happens as she tries to go from point A to point B. Shakespeare wrote, "The path of true love is never straight." It may be true about personal love, and it also may be true about a career or any ambition. To fulfill any dream, there are twists and turns, ups and downs. So begin to imagine what does she need to do to achieve her objective? What resources does she have? Does she have money? Does she have friends? Does she have family? Is she in a position to be able to achieve what she wants? And if she's not in the position now, how can she get in a position? So what are her resources, and really what are the obstacles? What does she have to overcome? What does she have to do in order to get there? And what happens along the way, and then finally what happens. That is a way to make up a story. Not the only way. Sometimes you might want to start with the environment, not even with the character. Sometimes you might want to start purely with a feeling. You might want to start with a physical activity, a physical, movement. A story can start anywhere, but then you have to follow it like a spool of thread. You need to follow it and engage with the parts of it, and ask them to have a cup of coffee with you. So take another minute or two just to work on this, and then we'll see what people came up with. That's a good expression, came up with, right? Because in a way it's like fishing, except we're not hurting the fish. Now, I suggest when we will ask for if anyone wants to tell the stories, I suggest don't show the pictures to the camera and to the rest of us. That's really a tool for yourself. When you tell it, try to really visualize it inside yourself, inside your mind, inside your body, and just tell it from within yourself directly to the people, to the camera and to the people nearby, if there are people nearby. And as Banu said, whenever possible, let characters speak to each other, and let characters speak their thoughts. That's often a powerful and amusing and entertaining thing in storytelling. If a character says, "Oh no, what am I going to do now? I could do this or I could do that." That's a lot more engaging than saying the character didn't know what she was going to do now. You see, you want to get inside a character and let a character speak for herself. You might have noticed that I did not stress conflict or problem and solution. I brought it in towards the end. Creative writing is often taught in terms of there has to be a conflict, there has to be a problem. But I feel it's more important to really first get a sense of how the character, who she is and how she feels. Okay, some people are still drawing, but some people might be ready to tell. Is anyone? Okay, Danya, would you pick up the microphone? And this is going to be a new thing. Oprah Winfrey in the USA is famous for running around with a microphone to people in the audience. No, don't take not the microphone, the computer. Yes. I know I said the microphone, it's a joke. The microphone is a metaphor. Now we have to bring the camera and the microphone to the participant. Go ahead and make sure it's off mute. Okay, so now I'll give you a thought or two about speaking and storytelling in video conferencing. If you look at the person's image, the person will not get a sense of eye contact with you. If you look here, she'll feel you're looking right in her eyes. Okay. So you have to make a compromise. You have to keep an eye on them, but it'll be more satisfying for them if you look here.
Okay. Not very long ago, rather very recently, there lived a boy named Rehan somewhere in Kolkata. And her, he had a very lovely set of parents, and he had a beautiful, huge garden. And in this garden, he used to play. He had a maid, and he used to play with her. And his favorite thing, plaything, was playing with the planets. So every day he will either play in the house, or it's okay.
Let me hold that. I like that.
Either he will play in the house or he will play in the garden, but the only thing he used to play was with the plants. One day, when he was playing, and then he fell asleep. And then it's okay, I can pause.
You know what? Why don't you stand up and turn around so you can look at these people and this person at the same time?
Yeah.
Okay. Here, you let her hold so your hands can be free, and stay pretty close because that mic only picks up a small distance. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. So one day when this boy was playing, and he fell asleep at one point of time, and then something happened. So he suddenly realized that he has left his favorite play set in the garden. He tried to wake up Mama. Mama. Mama was asleep. Papa was asleep. Sister was asleep. Whom to call? Even police was asleep. So then he started tiptoeing and going towards the garden. When he reached the garden, he remembered that he has left the under the trampoline, he has left the planet system. He was just about to crawl under the trampoline. That is the time, bang, there was something. There was a flash of light and something as it fell off from the sky. And he looked around, and it was a little fella, like something like this, something like his little finger, but he has very clearly defined things, like the head looked like a helmet, the hands looked like the balloon, with which Mama rolls the dough, and legs also look like that, and the body, the torso and the the front and the back, it looked like as if it was made of slate. He immediately felt like writing something on that, but before that, that guy, the little fella, started speaking, and he said, "Can you help me?" Yes. How? I'm lost. I live in the planet which is not there in your planet system. And what is there? Not in my planet system. All the planets are there in my planet system. So he started exploring, and very soon Rehan realized that it was nobody but an alien. So this alien was like, this little fella was an alien, and he got dropped somewhere from the sky. So he started asking him, because Rehan, even though he was only 5 years old, he was very knowledgeable about the planet system. So he started asking him about the names of the planets, but alien didn't know the name of the planets. So he started asking him about the names of the, like, is it Mangal, like, and the features of the planets. But then he said, no, it is not, it doesn't look red, it doesn't have a moon around, it doesn't have a lot of gases, it doesn't have this, that. So what is it? And then after discussing, they decided, okay, we have to go, and we still have around 6 hours left before Mama and Papa wakes up. So they decided to go, and Rehan, I forgot to tell you that he was also very fond of dinosaurs. So he called up his favorite pterodactyl, the space pterodactyl, and they both sat down, this little fella and Rehan, they both sat down on the back of the pterodactyl, and the pterodactyl started flying. And they went on like the Mercury, the Venus, and this, that, and everything was over, but still they couldn't reach. So where does it leave? Rehan was thinking and thinking. And that's when this little fella said, hey, wait, look over there, that's my planet. And all Rehan could see is a giant vanilla ice cream in the sky. And Rehan immediately knew that it is not a planet. It must be like, for him to, because ice cream is his favorite. But as soon as they went, they saw people like this alien. Everybody looked like him, and they're just running around here and there, and they're looking for, where is RXEP? And he said, here's me, I am RXEP. So in their planet system, everybody calls by acronym. So yeah, I will cut it short. So what happened is, they realized that this is the 10th planet system, like 10th planet. They haven't realized. So, but now how does Vincent go back? So once again, the pterodactyl was fed a lot of ice cream, and then the pterodactyl started flying with Rehan, and Rehan was very soon back in his garden. He tiptoed and he went back to his room, and he was lying again over there. And believe me, Mama, Papa, nobody could get a hunch what happened last night.
Okay, I want to know. Please come sit here for a minute. And put the camera on. Please sit down. Now, as mentioned, we should have a discussion after every story, where each one of us tells what we enjoyed, if we have any suggestions for improvements. Oh, that story reminds me of something else. And then finally, the meaning I get from that story is such and such. We don't have time for all of those questions from all of us. But I do want to ask you, the storyteller, what is one point or meaning or lesson or takeaway for you?
Yeah, what I thought is, like, I myself in my childhood has led a lot of secret lives, like which my mama and papa, my parents, didn't know. Like, I used to keep my storybook under the reading book or the exercise book. So moment my mama papa used to come, I will put it down back on the storybook so that they don't know. So perhaps I connected myself to Rehan like doing secret things. No. And maybe also to the alien, because alien also might have lost the his way something secret. And I'm of course not going to share all this.
Does anyone else want to give any feedback?
Interesting and thinking into the mind of a child is very heavy.
She said the story somehow reflected the mind of a child. That's how you felt.
Yeah. Yeah.
One of our people here she thought it was going to end with, and it was all a dream, and she woke up from the dream.
Yeah. Actually, that is how I would like to share. That is how I end all my stories, and now that has become a stereotype. So I wanted to break this. Yeah.
Sharmali or Sudarsana, would you tell us your story? One of you?
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead. Okay, thank you. Why don't you come and sit here? Sharmali, would you tell us?
Yeah.
I think if you speak, your voice is coming through. Can you say a word, Sharmali?
Hello. Hello.
No. 15 up. Yeah. No. Just count to 5, Sharmali, and see if we're getting your voice at all.
Hello. 1, 2. Hello. 1. Hello.
Oh, it's my speaker is the problem. Go ahead again. Count to 5.
Okay. Hello. 1, 2.
Yes. It was my computer that was the problem. Okay, now we're hearing you, and I apologize for putting you on the spot, but
no problem.
We'll be very grateful if you'd share your story.
Okay. It's more of a kind of a pictures that I got. I'm just trying. I'll try to connect. I drew a lot, so I'll try to see if I can connect it as a story. Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you, but it's not very loud. But I guess you're holding the mic up to your mouth, right? So it should be loud.
Hello. Am I audible?
Yes, that's much better.
Okay. So it was a time before dawn. It was very dark outside and inside too for this little girl who didn't know whether she was still sleeping or awake. It was very dark, and suddenly she could see a small light in the center. A male figure just rose up. He was having a very long beard, and the beard was so long that it was around him like it was circling around him. And he had his eyes closed, and as he rose up, there was also a light coming from his head. She could see only his head and the beard around his head. And she was seeing maybe he will open his eyes any moment and talk to him. So she was waiting. And suddenly she was like confused because he also had a long hair, which she normally sees only in a woman. And she was confused whether is it a man or a woman. And this long hair again was circling around him like his beard did. And he was also having a kind of a bindi on his head. So she was literally confused. Who is it? Is it a he or a she? Because she was completely confused. She wanted to put him inside a box, whether it's a him or a she, her. So she was completely confused. And slowly, as this figure was rising, more and more light was there. The light spread out as if like it is dawning and the sun is rising from somewhere, and this figure itself looked like a sun. light spread out everywhere. And she wanted to ask. She wasn't confused and she wanted to ask, can you tell me who you are? I'm really afraid because I've never seen such a figure in my life. Are you a man or a woman? You have a beard of a long beard like a man, but yet you have long tresses, which looks like a woman, and you also wear a bindi. Can you tell me who you are? There was silence. There was nothing. The eyes were still closed. Then she again asked, please tell me, because I'm already in a confusion of what to do with my life. I don't know. I'm in a point where I do not know what to do with my life. And you are again reflecting my own confusion. I'm not able to place you in any particular place. So she was very much confused, and she was almost begging the figure and asking. Then finally, slowly, the eyes opened. There's so much compassion in those eyes. There was the confusion and the fear of whatever she had all this time just melted when the eyes opened, the compassion flowed from the eyes. Something in her completely cleared. All her doubts, it seems, had just melted like, dewdrops melt when the sun arises. And then the figure said, do you really want to put me inside unknown? Can't you face the unknown in your life? You always want to put anything that you see into one box which you know. But can you see that there is something unknown in front of us? Can you look at things as they are without even, saying, labeling them? Why do you want to see me as a man or a woman? Can you just see me as I am? And it gave a shudder to this girl, and she cried. She cried for some time. And she said, yes, I don't want, now I understand. I don't want to put things into to the known. I think I can see things as they are. And then the figure asked, what do you want in your life? You say that you are confused at this point. What exactly you want? Can you tell me? She said, I feel as I am two persons. I am a bird and I am also a lotus. I don't know which one to put. Sometimes I want to fly high in the sky. Sometimes I want to be on the pond, just contemplating. But there is always a conflict between me. It's always a two. It's not just one. I don't know what to do with my life at this point. Can you tell me how to go about? The figure with the beard and the long tresses smiled. My child, it is okay. It is okay to be what you are. Sometimes you can fly high and you can still be rooted to the ground. You can still be a lotus on a pond and look at the skies and still be rooted to the sky also. You can root to the ground and also you can root to the sky. And then she saw a very beautiful thing coming up in front of her eyes. There is a mountain on both sides, and she was actually sitting on a wave. And this figure is actually a sun rising up, and there is an eagle up above, flying high, but still rooted, connected to the ground. And there is a lotus pond, which is on the ground, but still it felt connected to the sky. And she was so happy, and she could feel inside, yes, she can be a bird whenever she wants and fly high up above the sky, and whenever she wants she can still be a beautiful lotus on the pond, on the ground, just contemplating on her own self. Yes, thank you.
Wonderful. That was very beautiful, and a lot of metaphors, a lot of imagery. It's a lot to talk about, but we have to finish this workshop in a few minutes. Does anyone want to say anything? Or it's too much to say, right? She's saying it's very beautiful and very reflective.
Thank you.
One of our participants is asking, who is the main character in this story? Is it a version of you, or is it someone totally different from you, or?
It's me. It's me. So I'm looking at something.
Somehow your voice is not coming.
Okay.
Go ahead. Go ahead again.
Yeah. You're able to listen to me?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Yeah. The main character is me. The entire thing is happening within my own inner space. Is how I saw it.
Mm-hmm. Great. Okay. Would someone in our room here like to share a story? Yes. Come to our hot seat. Here, just sit right here and talk to us.
Maybe I can share a tip about the conference.
Say your thoughts. Please sit down so they can also see you. Great. There you are. Okay.
Yeah, this is not a story at all. I just wanted to share my experience as Dr. gave us those questions to start us on the drawing. So to start with, and because he used the feminine pronoun she, right? I just started off with a silhouette like that. You see all of it?
Yes. Well, here, let me put it on mine.
Just show them this way.
Yes. Just this curve.
Yes. So, but the questions or the ideas that he gave with you, they were all open-ended. Is she this or is she that? And it was all letting us imagine. So I wasn't sure where it was heading. But that was my experience. And then, because he said, not just the character, but the environment, the feeling, and we don't know how she looks, I immediately, this is the idea that came to me, I immediately decided it wouldn't be the face, but what do you make of that? Yes, it's just the head, the back of the head, right? And that's what I thought I would develop. I still wasn't sure who the character was supposed to be and what was going to happen. Then he used the words, don't always think about the character, think about the environments, the feeling, and the physical movement. And he also said, if you remember what she wants, and that gave me the idea. I thought about if you can, yes, zoom up there, top right there. I put and you talked about the point A to B. B is what she wants. So that's actually Eve, right? From the Bible character Eve. And that's the fruit there. That's what she wants. And the physical moment is her reaching out. It's just a figure, but she's reaching out to get to that fruit. And her feeling, all that immediately fell into place. She desires the fruit. So that's the story I could probably write. And writing from her viewpoint, why she made the decision to grab for the fruit, it already gave me the framework.
And just a second. Okay, put me down. Sharmali and Surasan, I hope you've been hearing. Have you been hearing the last bit? Good. I think it's been picked up by my computer. It's all good. Keep going.
Okay, so that's my experience with the second part. But remember the other storyboard that the other gentleman shared for us, right? And this was the video conferencing. I noticed all the things that were put up. It's because the camera, this is a mirror image. Did you notice the numbers were all? So this is what I want to quickly show you. If you were to turn around the numbers, get closer there. I don't think I got it right. Is it correct? If you go to the last frame, this is the crow and it puts those stones into the pitcher and gets the drink, right? So if you go to the very last segment, that's he's flying, right at the bottom there. 4 is correct, right? And 5 is when he gets the drink. So are you able to read what I put down there? Does the word moral come up correctly? It does. So here's the tip. flip the character, the letters that you write if you're doing a video conferencing, and you'll get it right. So what do you think the moral is? It's NMI. Some words are missing. N is the M of I. That's the moral of the story.
N?
N, what does N stand for? N is the M of I. Remember the crow story? He had to put the stones in to get the drink. N stands for? N.
No.
The letter N as in nest. Louder? Necessity is the mother of invention. Okay? It was necessary, he asked the drink, so he invented this thing of bringing the water. So, thank you.
Great. Okay, now if you put yours on mute. Now, Manu, please come and say a few words to close the session.
Yes. We're almost at the end of the session, end of the workshop for this morning. Hope you all had a good time here, learning, sharing. We too had a good time with you all. If you have some questions to ask us now, we are here to take it up and answer your questions, if you have any.
And also comments, you know.
Yes, and
any observations.
Observations and your takeaway from this workshop. So you could share it with us.
Can you make it so I can speak? I want to say that I'm relieved and pleased that this video conference process seems to be working. It's a little clunky with turning mics on and off and all, but I want to especially thank Shamali and Sudarsana for joining us and helping us. And we have 3 more sessions today and tomorrow. So probably by the end of tomorrow, we'll have this down pretty well. And I want to thank everyone also in this room for putting up with the you know, the clunkiness of the communication process to some extent. But you know, this is really pioneer work, because it's relatively easy to sit in your office and have a conversation by conference, but to do a group as well as in people, that's where the real challenge is. In the grown-up world, we would have multiple cameras and multiple microphones, and we'd have a camera that could zoom in and out and pan back and forth. But we're in the we're not there yet. Okay, so does anyone else have any observations? I think, judging from the stories we heard, the process that we did of composing stories, it seemed to work pretty well.
Yes.
So please keep that in mind. You know, I always feel that we are training trainers. We are training you to lead storytelling sessions with children, with adults, in the business world. So please keep that activity in mind. And the one Banu did earlier of just tell the partner something that happened in the last 24 hours. Just a little throwaway. I guess it's a little warm up, but it's also a good one. Professor Ruth, you're here. Would you say a word or two to the public, to the people? Do you have any observations about the workshop you've just witnessed and participated in a little?
I enjoyed it very much. It was nice to have a variety of different people telling us suggestions, ideas, starting with the warm-ups physically and the voice. I think from my perspective, the most important part of storytelling is that you care equally about the story that you've chosen to tell, and you care about who's listening to it. And so it's like a marriage broker. You're a catalyst. You're bringing together this story with these people, and you kind of hope in your heart that they're going to take that story and put it in their heart, and that it was meaningful to them or triggered something in them, or they'll look up something that the story suggested. So I love the community that is created by a group of people together listening and telling. It's very intimate, and this adds to it, this approach where we can see people who aren't even here with us, and yet we can hear their stories and their faces. It's an amazing process.
Thank you. And by the way, Sharmali and Sudarshana, where are you? Mr. Kanan, bring the mic up so we can hear them. Sharmali, go ahead. Tell us again.
Hello.
Where are you?
Hello.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, I'm very much from Chennai. I wanted to attend today, but I due to some reasons I couldn't come there. I'm in Chennai.
Yeah, turn the sound off my computer. Just a second, Sharm. Off. Just a second. Yes, now it's turned up. I'm sorry, Sharmali, go ahead again.
I'm very much in Chennai. Sorry, I wanted to attend it in person, but I couldn't. So I thought, why not join the PC process?
Just a second. Mute me. Wait, here we're on mute. Let me do this. Come on.
Hello.
Okay, Sharmali, go ahead. Can you hear? Go ahead.
Yeah. I said I'm in Chennai. I'm from Chennai, and right now I'm in Chennai.
Oh, you're in Chennai. What a wonderful.
Yeah, I couldn't. I wanted to come today in person, but due to some reasons I couldn't. So I thought, why not, join the VC
Great.
and also understand how it happens in video conferencing. And I'm quite happy that the process was smooth as if I was in person there.
Pretty
Even
smooth anyway.
the exercises and voice modulation I was able to do, and I felt connected.
Wonderful, thank you. And Sudarsana?
Hi, I'm from Chennai as well. Thank you so much for arranging this video conference session. It was really very useful, and I wanted to begin my career as a storyteller, and it was very useful. I definitely wanted to come in person, but I had to be back home by 1:30. That was the main reason why I wasn't able to attend in person. Thank you so much, and it was really great listening to all the stories. And I also got an idea how I have to create a story. The complete process. I would wish to attend the other sessions as well. I'll definitely try to make it up. Thank you so much to each and everyone for giving all those stories and the ideas. I have already listened to a couple of stories from this team, Bhanumati ma'am's story, Pandyarajan sir's story, and other people's stories as well. So it was really great attending this session.
Great, so we had a global video conference. We had a global video conference with 2 people in Chennai. There's a message in there. Okay, first of all, I'm going to stop recording. Stop recording. Thank you very much, everybody.